All right, let's talk about something. Imagine you've just been told you're free. After centuries of slavery, the Civil War ends, the 13th Amendment is passed, and boom, freedom. You can finally own your own life, right? Well, not so fast. Because almost immediately after the war, Southern states came up with a new set of rules called the Black Codes. These weren't just suggestions. They were laws designed by the same white politicians who had just lost a war over keeping black people enslaved. Their goal was simple: to control the lives of newly freed African Americans. It was like getting out of prison only to find out your parole officer is the same guy who put you in there. And he's made a whole new list of rules just for you. A black person simply walking down the road without a work contract in their pocket could be declared a vagrant. And the punishment? You could be arrested, fined, and if you couldn't pay the fine, which most newly freed people couldn't, you would be leased out to a private employer to work off your debt. That employer was often your old master. So you're free, you go for a walk, and you end up right back on the plantation you just left. The most famous and destructive of these systems was sharecropping. On the surface, it sounded like a decent deal. A landowner would provide a family with land, seeds, and tools, but the landowner controlled everything. He kept the books, he set the prices for supplies, and he decided how much the crop was worth. It was a setup for failure from the very beginning. The sharecropper family needed food, clothing, and other supplies throughout the year, which they had to buy on credit from the landowner's store at ridiculously high interest rates. At the end of the year, magically, the value of the family's share of the crop was almost never enough to cover what they owed. This created a cycle of debt that was passed down from parents to children. After Reconstruction ended in 1877, the Southern states were free to go back to their old ways. The legal foundation for Jim Crow was cemented in 1896 with the Supreme Court case Plessy v. Ferguson. The court ruled that it was constitutional to have separate facilities for black and white people, as long as they were separate but equal. Of course, everyone knew the equal part was a complete lie. Jim Crow laws created two different worlds within the same society. One for white people with all the resources and opportunities, and one for black people with crumbling infrastructure and very little hope for advancement. But Jim Crow was more than just laws on paper. It was a social code enforced by violence. The threat of violence hung over every black person's head every single day. Think about mass incarceration. The Black Codes created the crime of vagrancy to force black people back into labor. Today we see how minor offenses are disproportionately enforced in black communities, feeding a prison industrial complex that profits from incarceration. It's the same idea with a different name, using the legal system to control and contain a specific population. The war on drugs functioned in many ways like a modern-day Black Code. The wealth gap is another direct echo. Today, the average white family has about 10 times the wealth of the average black family. This isn't because of individual choices. It's the cumulative effect of centuries of discriminatory policies. When one group was systematically blocked from buying homes, starting businesses, and saving money, while another was encouraged to do so, you end up with the massive disparity we see today. So why do so many people, particularly many white Americans, not want to talk about it? A big part of it comes down to comfort. Acknowledging the brutal reality of the Black Codes and Jim Crow is deeply uncomfortable. It challenges the popular story America tells about itself, the story of a nation built on freedom and justice for all. It's much easier to believe that racism is just a few bad apples, rather than a system deliberately designed to benefit one group at the expense of another. Many white people hear this history and think they are being personally accused of being racist. But the point isn't about individual blame. It's about understanding a system. The legacy of these laws created advantages for white Americans, whether they asked for them or not. Learning this history is not about shaming anyone. It's like going to a doctor. You can't get the right treatment if you don't have an accurate diagnosis. America has a deep, pre-existing condition, and its name is systemic racism. We have to have honest conversations, even when they're uncomfortable, about how we got here. Only by understanding the hidden chains of the past can we finally begin the work of breaking them for good, and building a country that truly lives up to its promise of liberty and justice for all. That's the only way we move forward, together.